gold medalist Daniil Yelutsinov.
All over, inside 3 rounds, Daniil Yelutsinov. Well, that's what the fuss is all about.
My name is Daniil Yelutsinov, Kazakh Thunder. Watch my fight next.
Get your hands up.
Sky Sports a match room in pursuit of the next gen. Sky Sports a match room in pursuit of the next gen.
I'm an amateur world champion, 2-time Asian Games champion, and an Olympic gold medalist. My dream as a professional is to become undisputed, undefeated champion of the world. First of all, I want to make my country famous, to make it well known for all the people. That's my #1 goal. I want to stay injury-free and healthy, because I love this sport and I love my job. It's what I am best at. I want to become champion of the world for sure.
Welcome back to York Hall. Very much looking forward to this one. So many international stars have appeared here at York Hall. Now it's time for another. Daniil Yelutsinov, Olympic champion. Remember this name. Here is pro appearance #2. Back to Craig.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here comes the Kazakh Thunder, Daniil Yelutsinov.
Well, just a few years ago, this very York Hall ring was graced by Vasyl Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk when they're over boxing for Ukraine in World Series boxing. Those two now global superstars of the professional game. And Daniil Yelutsinov has come from the same cloth in terms of his amateur achievements. Asian champion, world champion, Olympic champion. He quite literally did it all. He was impressive on his debut in New York back at the end of April. And Dave, I cannot wait to see what he's got for us tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him up close and personal here. You know, York Hall, all the fans are going to appreciate him. You know, could this be a fighter that we look back on in years and say we was here the first time he boxed over in Britain?
The Kazakh Thunder.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're live on Sky Sports from a sold-out York Hall, Bethnal Green. This is JD Next Gen, and Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing is very proud to bring you this special attraction. 6 3-minute rounds of international super welterweight boxing. Our timekeeper, Mr. Nick Smith, in charge of the action from Watford, star referee, Mr. Bob Williams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing in the red corner, wearing red with white trim, weighing in at 10 stone 6 pounds, from 34 contests, 23 wins, 10 wins coming by KO, from Budapest, Hungary, known as the Sticky Man, Zoltan Szabó. And in the blue corner, wearing black with gold, weighing in 10 stone 9 pounds 6 ounces. He was the dominant world amateur for the past 4 years, a multiple champion, 2016 Olympic gold medalist. As a professional, 1 contest, 1 win, 1 KO. From Berezino, Kazakhstan, Gorshkil Denis, the Kazakh Thunder, Daniil Yelutsinov.
Okay lads, obey my commands. In the event of a knockdown, the fighter standing will go to the furthest neutral corner and stay there. Protect yourself at all times, touch gloves.
So our first sighting in the United Kingdom in the pro ring of Daniyar Yelusinov, and opposite him is Zoltan Jarbo, who's beaten some good names himself. He took down Stephen Ormond. That's been his career standout win in October 2016. Ormond 21 and 2 at the time, a former WBO European lightweight champion, and we know all about him. That was a really good win for Jarbo. He was stopped by O'Hara Davis in this York Hall ring back in 2016 on a cut, Jarbo. And he was happy to take the job at pretty short notice against Yelusinov as well, so that tells you something about him. You know all about the Kazakhs' amateur achievements. They don't always translate into the pro ring, but increasingly these days they do, and that was a classic left hand there.
That was a lovely little shot. Signalled his intent there. Zarbo's game, I've seen him box before, I've seen him come over and fight Lee Appleyard. Gave Lee a good fight. Very tricky, very awkward he can be.
Won his world amateur title back in 2013 in Almaty in Kazakhstan. Won every fight by unanimous decision, did the same thing in the Asian Championships rather. Years later.
He likes that little left underneath, doesn't he, as a little counter. Twice he's thrown it already.
Good performance against Noah Kidd at the Barclays Centre back at the end of April. Kidd was an undefeated fighter, 3 wins and 1 draw, and he got the stoppage. There were already signs in that fight that he'd changed his style somewhat from his unpaid days, because he wasn't a typical Kazakh amateur in that he's a mover. Signalling to the referee there that that was maybe a little bit low. Used to spin off around that front foot a lot, throw combinations, get in and out, but he was holding his feet more in that first fight.
Yeah, it's like all good amateurs. It's going to be a little bit of a transition period, and sometimes you have to adjust the style also, especially when you get the big hype and the scene as the next big star. Sometimes they've got to be a little bit more exciting than maybe perhaps what they were in the amateurs. Sometimes it's not just about being a great boxer.
His father, Marat, is running the corner tonight, but long-term it will be John David Jackson who will be his trainer. They've been working together for this fight, but Jackson couldn't make it over tonight for personal reasons. Until recently, of course, the trainer of Sergei Kovalev was in the past trained the likes of Shane Mosley, Nate Campbell, a very good fighter himself as well. Jarbo looking for that right hand. To stand on kind of borderline range when Yelusinov, who just can't quite reach with that southpaw jab.
Oh, the reach with that left hand.
Snappy jab from Yelusinov. So 1 round down in this 6th rounder scheduled at super welterweight. They'll be fighting as a welterweight when it comes to titles. Yelusinov. Touch of gloves at the start of round 2. More fighters from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan as well beginning to come through now as professionals. It's been a little bit slow to happen at times. Gennady Golovkin, of course, flying the flag for Kazakhstan, but you go back a little bit further and you find Vasily Zhirov, Babet Shumanov, fighters like that, and Yelusinov wants to match those achievements of Golovkin. That's what he's aiming for, and the fact that he signed with the UK promoter, I think, is just such an indication of what the power Great Britain is in world boxing now. I couldn't quite believe it when I discovered he was signing with Matchroom Dave, to be honest, because I just assumed that I'd heard he was going to turn pro, but I just assumed that he would head for an American promoter, like they pretty much all do.
Yeah, he's the kind of fighter that you'd expect to go with something like Top Rank or something like that. But it just shows you, what Great Britain is right now.
weight tonight than he usually does. Took this at short notice, so I don't think he would have been ungrateful for that.
He's very, very calculated. He's very, very calculated. You can see, you know, his poker face. He's just stood there studying him. He doesn't throw a lot, but he throws when he wants to and he has to. He's looking for perfect shots every time.
Nice right hand on the inside there from Ilyusunov, just really dug the toes in on that one. Shaking the head there from Jarbo, who's looked okay so far. He's not looked in any great discomfort just yet, not anything that's come his way, but he's not really able to land anything on Ilyusunov.
He's not, he's tough. He is a tough fighter, but you know, you look at his face is starting to show a few signs of these shots that Ilyusunov's landing. You know, he's one of those, is he going to crumble in a couple of rounds' time with a cumulative effect? Let's not forget, you know, he is boxing above his weight division here.
Healthy round of applause from the York Hall crowd. Not a spare seat to be had inside this famous old venue in Bethnal Green. So many great fighters down the years have taken to this ring. Jarbo quickly back to his feet. Zoltan Kiss in the corner with him. A couple of fights ago, he was over in Germany, putting away an undefeated German fighter, Andranik Hakobian, who was 10-0-1 at the time. That was at the end of April. So
round 3.
He does have experience of upsetting the odds, but it would be absolutely extraordinary were he to get something done tonight. Ilyusunov just easing through those first couple of rounds, really. Didn't have too much World Series boxing experience, 4-0 in that competition. Kazakhstan tend to do things slightly differently. They keep their tournament boxers, Asian Championship, World Championship, Olympic boxing teams separate from WSB generally. There's not much overlap. Really, you could have had 20 or so in the WSB format of 5 3-minute rounds, which probably would have done him some good, but that's just not how they do it. Jarbo made to miss with the right hand and then just got clubbed on the side of his head as he went past Ilyusunov. Beat Josh Kelly in the early stages in Rio. Ilyusunov, it was an example of the kind of bad draw actually that quite a lot of the GB fighters had over in Rio. Your man had one as well, Anthony Fowler. He bumped into a Kazakh early on. And a few of them had similar kinds of fates. That's the way it can go sometimes.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's, you know, a lot of times it's not about who's necessarily the best fighter in the tournaments that win it. Sometimes it's you know, the look of the draw.
Fighter who beat in the final, actually, Shakram Giyasov, an Uzbek fighter. He's turned pro. He's based over in Brooklyn, which Ilyusunov was in the early days of his pro career. He's looking to set up in Miami, Florida, down where John David Jackson is. That's the plan. Always interesting to see what trainer these guys land with. The fighters who come over with Igis Klimas, for example, they tend to go with the same setup, his boxing laboratory over in Oxnard with Marco Contreras, but Ilyusunov had a good look for himself in every possible way because he decided that it was going to be Matchroom, and presumably he'll have had a big say in it being Jackson as the trainer.
Yeah, and I think that's what fighters should do. You know, I think fighters should have a good look and see who's around, It's not necessarily who's around in your own backyard. That's a nice little combination there. Shows his class there. You know, it's their career. You know, ultimately you can take advice from people, but fighters have to make that decision on who they feel comfortable looking after them, promotional management and training wise.
Touching marking up beneath the left eye of Jarbo. Left to the midriff there from Yelusinov. Oh, good left hand there from Jarbo to finish the round. That was interesting. Just caught Yelusinov as he was looking to open up a touch. Jarbo staying on his feet. Really classy, crisp combination, that one.
Yeah, really classy. I'd like to have seen the shot that Szabo just landed there.
Well, it was the first time really that he managed to put anything on Yelusinov.
But Szabo's quite comfortable in there. You know, I know he's shipping a few shots, but he's quite comfortable. He's standing up in between rounds. He's looked down at us on commentary a couple of times in between the rounds. There's nothing that he's faced so far that's making him uncomfortable and feeling as though he wants to get out of there.
Well, this time last year he was in with a good fighter in Emiliano Marsili, who was undefeated at the time, 34 wins and a draw, a former European champion. Had that fight with Derry Matthews and was looking towards world titles and picked up some intercontinental belts. He did 8 rounds with him without too much trouble.
His timing, some of these left hands, lovely. Just as Szabo lunges in, he's catching him on the way. The one thing I would say is that I don't feel as though he's got, right at this stage anyway in his career, I don't feel that he's got the big knockout power. Having said that, now I've said that he'll probably stop him in a couple of rounds. But I think he's a high class, intelligent boxer, and I think he's one of these going to punch pick his way all the way through. I don't think he's a fighter that wants to take risks.
Gum Shield has come out there as Jarbo, courtesy of a left hand from Yelusinov, who's noticed and was happy, I think, to step off and let the referee stop the action there so he could get it back in, but that's not going to happen. Bob Williams is waiting until what he feels is the right time, and Yelusinov again just studying Jarbo, just waiting for those openings, those tells that he can try and exploit. I think you're totally right. He's a surgeon, isn't he? He's not the kind of fighter that's going to take a baseball bat to anyone. It's a different kind of approach.
You mean completely the opposite to Golovkin?
It's been a long time without his gum shield, Jarbo, I have to say. Still a minute to go in this round.
Yeah, he can't have seen it. And it shows you about Szabo. Zabo's not even bothered about this. He's not even indicating about his gum shield being missing. To be fair, he's corner on.
Wading forward there, Szabo. Trying to get past that angular jab. Does come in with his chin quite high, Szabo, sometimes, doesn't he? You fear for him a bit, but he's not been caught yet.
Yeah, he does, because he just lunges in. It's almost like he leaps in and jumps in. But again, it shows you the toughness of the man, because he's got no gum shield in there, and he's still pressing. He's not indicating that he's not got a gum shield. He's not telling the referee. He's not running around the ring trying to buy time. You know, he keeps walking into range of fire.
Jarbo just indicating to Bob Williams that the gum shield had indeed come out, so they'll get that rinsed off. He's doing a good job in here, Zoltan Jarbo. As I say, he took this at fairly short notice, and it was a neat bit of work by the matchmakers to get him, because finding any kind of opponent for someone like Daniil Yelusinov in the early stages is always going to be difficult. It's how you match these guys.
Yeah, because people want to see what he's all about. You know, nobody wants to risk the fighters chance of getting hurt, put him in a much talked about and hyped young prospect that's going to be seen as one of the future world stars. So they want to see what it's all about. Have a couple of fights. Oh, maybe he's not that much a puncher. All right, I'll put my kid in with him, and then you'll start seeing it'll become a little bit easier to match. But right at the beginning of their career, nobody wants to take that gamble.
10 seconds. Seconds out. Round 5.
I mentioned that he was up against Josh Kelly in Rio. Of course, Kelly on the move, a welterweight himself, and picked up that WBA international title, challenges for the Commonwealth soon, and that was a good left hand, and the back foot there of Szabo just shifted underneath him.
Lovely body shot then as well. Switched it straight downstairs. This is what I'm saying about the intelligence of him. You can see his brain ticking in there.
So just looking to try and clip through the gears a bit here, Yulusinov. I think he is just looking for that long backhand.
Keeps catching with that counter left hand.
For a big haymaker there, Szabo just swinging wide with the right hand, but Yulusinov saw that coming from a way back.
You see, a lot of prospects would have, as soon as they see that back leg dip like he did with Szabo, would have jumped all over him and gone for the kill. This is what I'm saying about what type of fighter he's going to be. He's seen that he's hurt the man. He's not changed his pace. He's not changed anything. He's still going about his work methodically. He's going to be very, very clinical. He's going to be one for the purists.
Good upper body movement there from Yulusinov, just to sway out of the way of the right hand of Szabo. It's an interesting point you make there, because we know about the skills and we know about the medals, and if you follow boxing really closely, then you would have known who he was before he turned pro. But once you get into the professional ring, it's about bums on seats and tickets and TV, and this has been good to watch, and it's very, very early days.
But you're going to see a better version of him when he's in with more orthodox guys that are throwing hands trying to beat him. Again, it's very hard sometimes for these young prospects to look $1 million when you're in with tricky opponents, you know. Especially if you're more of a counter-puncher, intelligent sort of fighter, then it's very, very hard. But he's looking good. He looks quality. You can see he just oozes quality in everything that he does. And like I said, when he's in against an opponent that's in there trying to win, and an opponent that's a little bit more orthodox, not jumping about, not leaping about, and you know, like a jack in the box, then I think you're going to see a really good fighter here.
Well, they'll look to move quickly, I'm sure. Joe Cordina's ringside tonight, naturally, and you look at him and Kelly, as I've mentioned, who picked up ranking belts early on in their professional careers, as has Lawrence Okoli. Josh Buatsi, another very promising young pro who went to the Olympics, and they now have a stablemate in Yulusinov. It's just the timing of that left hand, wasn't it, there? He caught him with it, and Szabo actually took it pretty well. He's taken everything well.
Yeah, he's like I said before, he's a very, very tough man. You only have to see how he boxed when he had the gum shield flying out. He still carried on going for it. He's never sat down once in between rounds. He feels comfortable in there.
Well, this is what Next Gen is all about tonight, really, seeing new faces. We're seeing one in the British ring from Yulusinov tonight, and fighters on the rise. We've got two of those in Luke Watkins and Lawrence Okoli in the main event. We've got two of them in Reece Bellotti and Ryan Doyle. We've got two of them in Ted Cheeseman and Paulie Upton. Those are three contests we have coming up. Touch of gloves between the two as we head into this sixth and final round. Daniel Yulusinov, Rio Olympic gold medalist of Kazakhstan, in the black, and Zoltan Szabo in the red and white. Szabo still trying to come forward, still trying to land. Left there from Szabo, bit unorthodox as he walked forward, but he got it to land.
You know, when you're talking about the speed that they're going to move him on as well, he's 27 years old, so there is a transition period, but they've got to move him along pretty quickly, because a fighter like this, they're looking at being a world star. Not just, you know, you're not just talking about a world champion, you're talking about a world star. That's what I think Matchroom are hoping to do with him, launching him. So he needs to be moved pretty quickly. So the opponents have got to be stepped up quite quickly. So his learning curve is going to be quite short.
Well, he's got that double platform now, hasn't he, of being able to box over here and also box on Matchroom USA cards.
Yeah, I expect him to be really busy, really busy. And not all fighters are going to be as tough as Szabo, because Szabo is extremely tough. You know, some of these shots that he's landing, unexpected, slotting it like that, a little left up underneath the rib cage. They're sickening shots, and a lot of fighters will fold.
Bit of facial damage from Szabo, bit of bruising around the cheekbones, just underneath that left eye particularly, but he hasn't shown any great signs of distress. Still looking to land that left hand. Szabo had just swayed away to his left, and it took the power off it by the time it landed. Well, touch of gloves between the two at the end, and Szabo earned his money tonight, coming in at short notice, and gave Ulusunov 6 valuable rounds there. The Kazakh fighter showing us the skills that we always knew that he had. He talks about the amateur pedigree at length, and as you mentioned, Dave, he will need to move quick given his age and given his ability, but there's no particular reason why he won't be able to do that. He's never going to be the kind of fighter who's going to get in there and blast opponents out, but as you've been saying, as the level raises, so will he.
Yeah. You can, without doubt, you can see that the quality that he possesses.
Ladies and gentlemen, a referee, Mr. Williams, will bring both boxers together. As he does so, would you please show your appreciation for both our boxers in the ring? We go to Mr. Williams' score totals. He sees this contest 60 points to 54 in favour of the winner, still undefeated, the Kazakh Thunder, Daniil Yelusinov.
So Daniil Yelusinov wins every one of those 6 rounds against Zoltan Szabo. And Dave, briefly, just good to see him out under the lights in the UK ring.
Yeah, it's nice to see. You know, we want to see all the big names over in the UK. You know, and I believe that he is going to go on to be a big name. And it's nice to see, you know, at this stage of his career.
Case of welcome to the UK, 2-0 for Kazakhstan's Daniil Yelusinov. A case of so far, so good.